fast, because for me, fasting is generally pretty slow. You know, if I fast from food, the day takes longer. But it's fasting nonetheless. And so you cut one thing out so that you can pay more attention to God. That's the principle of fasting. And here, when these people are fasting, guess what God says? Take your best leaders, Paul and Barnabas, and send them away. Say goodbye. I've got something for them. And they can do that because they've got God. They don't need this particular human being. God can fill whatever gaps are left. Number 4, say goodbye when God is present in a particular change. That means when God is evident and present and revealing himself in the midst of a change that is coming into your life. If God is in the change, and this is going to be something that's hard for you to grasp oftentimes when you're entering the change. But if God is in the change, then he can bring you through the change. Look at this in Acts chapter 15. They, talking about Paul and Barnabas, had such a sharp disagreement that they parted company. This is only 2 chapters later. Barnabas took Mark and sailed for Cyprus, but Paul chose Silas and left, commended by the brothers to the grace of the Lord. You see, what happened is that Mark, this guy that Barnabas takes with him, is actually Mark's cousin. It's Barnabas' cousin. Barnabas likes this guy, and so he invited Mark to join them on a previous journey. Mark was chicken, and he finked out halfway through the journey, and he went back home. And so Barnabas says, I want to give him a second chance. Paul says, I don't. I can't trust that guy. I'm not giving him a second chance. Barnabas says, I want to give him a second chance. And they had such a sharp disagreement that they parted ways. Now, friends, oftentimes we're in a place of disagreement, or we're in a place of change that feels like anger, frustration, but just maybe, God is in it. Because God wanted Mark to find someone to encourage him to bring him back. And that's what happened to him. He's the guy who wrote the Gospel of Mark. And God wanted Paul to hook up with Silas and start doing some ministry, because in Philippi, God used Paul and Silas to win over an entire family. God wanted both of those things to happen. He was in that change, even though at the time it felt like a disagreement. You follow me on that? Sometimes God is in the change. Well, that's when you say goodbye. These last ones I'm just going to give to you pretty quickly. How do I say goodbye? Let's follow what Moses did. Number 1, let's draw a clear line centered on God's word. Moses says, "Who is for the Lord, come to me." Draw a clear line in your life where you say, this is God's word, this is God's will, and I will stand on this side of that line. Draw a clear line in your life. Everything on that sign is a goodbye. Everything on this side is a hello. Number 2, if another person is involved or they're on that side of the line, make a clear appeal to them to cross the line and join you. Before you say goodbye to that person, give them the opportunity to cross the line with you. You give them a clear line, and you say, would you come over here? Obey God with me. If they won't, then you need to verbalize a specific goodbye, where you say to that person, because I want my life to honor God, I cannot continue the relationship we have together. If you would like to honor God with me, then join me, but until then, I must say goodbye. Be specific, be clear. And then finally, find a new hello in God, His people, and His purposes. Now, frankly, this is going to apply to different people in different ways. And I'm not saying goodbyes are easy. I'm not saying that this process will make them any easier. It's just going to make it clearer to know how and when. And I encourage you, if you have anything in your life right now that you're struggling with a goodbye on, let me encourage you to talk to me or someone else that you respect about that and say, what does God have for me in the midst of that? And quite frankly, there's one goodbye that I think all of us need to reevaluate whether or not we've ever said. And it's the goodbye that says, God, I'm saying goodbye to the stuff of me and hello to the stuff of you. You know, I don't know where you are this morning in terms of your relationship to God, but that's the relationship you've been designed for. And God has something amazing in store for your life. But it can't enter your life until the stuff that's standing in the way is taken away. And so I just want to ask you right now to bow your heads, close your eyes for a moment, and reflect with me on God and His Word. God has offered to us complete and total forgiveness through His Son, Jesus Christ. God has offered to us the promise that He will never say goodbye to us if we say hello to Him and His Son. And so right now in this place, if you've never made the commitment before in your life, let me encourage you to make that commitment in your heart right now. Just say a prayer. Say, God, I'm not sure how many things in my life need to go, but I know I need you. So would you enter my life today, cleanse me of my sin, and slowly and carefully remove the things that need to go. For some of you, you've been walking with God for a while, at least part way. But there's something you've been hanging on to, holding on to, and you just won't let go of it. For you, let me just ask you to pray this prayer and say, God, I am stuck. I have no power in myself to do this. Would you bring a person in my life, or failing that, a crisis moment that leads me to a clear point of decision to let this go? And then let me ask you right now just to pull out that response card from your bulletin, flip it over to the back side, and spend a moment with God. Jot down on that card a prayer request. Jot down on that card your response to today's service. Let God speak to you. Take a moment, just you and God, right here in this place.